Okay, now you may officially start.
Okay, well, welcome. My name's Debbie. This is John. And so welcome to our Mediterranean meal. And so we've been working on different things. Who's here? Who's heard of the Mediterranean diet? What do you know about it? What do you like about it? Or do you not like it?
Lots of vegetables.
Lots of vegetables,
Olive oil.
olive oil,
Wine.
wine. Everybody loves the wine. Yes, you won't find any of that here today. Pastas. So generally, it's the foods people eat whose countries line the Mediterranean Sea. And it actually is a very good, healthy diet. And you'll often hear it as the one that is recommended for people because it's doable and it's fun. And of course, there's the wine. And I was just reading another thing about it recently. And it said, everybody thinks it's so good because we can eat all this olive oil. But what they really found out when you just boiled it down to the issue was the nuts are what really tend to help the most. The olive oil really didn't matter, except that it was good for you because it replaced butter. So really, anything you replace butter with, except for lard, would be good for you. So that's one reason why it's good. And when they teased out the nut part, the nuts help reduce risk of stroke. So it's a good healthy diet. It's nearly plant-based. They use meat, but not very liberally. They use fish. And I do want to just say this one sad little thing about the alcohol part, because they do drink alcohol and they're liberal with it. And I know in the blue zones, they say, have wine at 5 or something. But some of the newest research and bodies who tell us what to eat have found really no good level of alcohol for our bodies, which I'm particularly sad about. But just wanted you to know.
I wouldn't call you a lush, though.
I would not exactly a lush, no.
Just drink very good wine.
I do drink good. I drink Placer County wine.
You're gonna
Very
kill
good.
those brain cells. You
Yeah,
better
that's
drink good
right.
wine.
So, John, I don't know. Well, John, you go. You have a lot.
Okay, I'm doing, or I made a dish that is nominally from the Middle East. It starts really Greece, Turkey, Lebanon, circles all the way around to North Africa and Tunisia. It's called shawarma. The term is from the Ottoman Empire, and shawarma first shows up really late in the Ottoman era, like the 18th century, and they start around the 14th century, so it's late. And it's usually it comes from spinning. And what they do is they have a spindle with meat stuck on it in a vertical heater, and it spins. And the heater will roast the meat, and they will slice the meat down onto a pita or a flat bread-like thing. Serve it with sauces and vegetables. This, to me, is reminiscent of things such as gyro, G-Y-R-O, gyro sandwich. Same deal, same spindle. Tacos al pastor, you've tried that. It's from the Ottoman immigrants to Mexico who said, we like this. So this has nothing to do with spindles. It has to do with the spices that they use to flavor the meats. And so what we've got here is a cauliflower shawarma. And I've spiced it here with cumin, a nice, a typical Middle Eastern spice, a general spice, sweet paprika, and paprika is sort of dried sweet bell peppers, dried pepper. There's some salt, coriander. If you look a lot in India, Near East, Mediterranean, you're going to use coriander. Turmeric. This is a spice that I started out absolutely loathing. But it turns out that when you use a little bit with these other things, it's addictive. Black pepper, this is good stuff. And she calls for a pinch of cayenne, and a pinch. In my house, it really is, but we stand back and pinch. Other people go pinch. So it's up to you. Spice is a variable. Now, I roasted this in the oven with, I took those spices, put it in some oil. The original recipe called for 5 tablespoons. I reduced it down to 2.5. I tried it with water, and when I used water, the cauliflower became stringy. And I sort of lost the joy of eating this. So it's enough oil to kind of coat. So if you can get a mister and do this when they're spread out and flat, otherwise do the spices and pour it on the top. But try to get away with this as little as possible, because it really is not needed. So I roasted these with an onion, and the onion is good because it gives you that sweet bitterness of a roasted onion. I don't know if you've thought about how sweet onions are. It's dangerous. And then we're going to serve it today on a flatbread. This for Edie, this is gluten-free,
Oh, thank you.
so you'll be able to taste it. This has got spinach in it, so that's why it's green. It's not old, it's green. So it's going to be a Mediterranean salad or an Israeli salad. Is usually a mixture of cucumbers and tomatoes. I kept them separate in case you have feelings about one or the other. And then as a baseline, when you start with the tortilla, you put a little smear of hummus, the cauliflower, the vegetables, and then I've got a tahini sauce. This is just tahini with lemon, a little bit of salt, and a hint of cumin. The original recipe calls for spicy. This has got harissa, which is hot. The tahini tempers the heat, so it's not burn your mouth out, but you'll know that there's heat there. This when it gets close that it's hot.
And you use a pinch of that too, right?
You can if you wish. I actually, when we ate it with this and this I should say. My daughter hates cauliflower. One of the watchwords in our household is no cauliflower. Cauliflower,
Can you make it a little louder?
I've made it.
They can't hear it back there.
No, I cannot.
Cauliflower is something that I love. So we made it. We've made this 3 times now. And my daughter was standing behind me 2 nights ago saying, imagine me, I hate cauliflower and I'm waiting to get another. So that should give you a sense of a difference here.
Can you hold that up so the camera can see your cauliflower?
So
See, that's beautiful. Mine was just black.
now,
Didn't
well,
taste good either.
that was something, you mentioned timing, and the timing here says 30 to 40 minutes roasting. In this oven, it was 15 minutes, take it out, juggle, 10 more tops. And we've got, I wanted the burnt ends. That's part of the shawarma. But I don't want it charcoal, because charcoal with spices just doesn't.
And was your black the whole time, or it just
It was completely black. It was not a good result.
was over roasted?
Yeah.
So that's the cauliflower shawarma, and the New York Times, which is where the starting of this recipe comes, has at the end of every recipe a comments. I've tried this recipe and and sometimes everybody changes everything, and then they say, and I hated it. This one, the very first one had 600 favorable knocks. The next closest was 200. The guy said, I've made this thing two times now. I like it stoned. It gives me joy and self-improvement.
Awareness, improvement.
Yeah,
Height limit.
and that is a solo for him. The whole cauliflower was it, and you will be tempted when you make this.
To get stoned?
You could,
No, he
but
needs to eat
without
the whole
that,
thing.
without, you will eat the whole thing, despite the fact this is a 3-pound cauliflower. And you'll start eating it and think, I've got another tortilla here. I didn't finish all the tortillas. Do I have any other bread here? Maybe on rice. Oh, and that's the other thing. It doesn't have to be wrapped. You can put it on rice or whatever you want it. This is a spicy cauliflower. So, pass it back.
Awesome, okay. So my dishes were not as fancy. But they're beautiful anyway. So I did the Mediterranean farro salad, but I didn't use farro. I used orzo because Linda had found me this whole wheat orzo. Orzo is a pasta and it's usually made from white flour, but she found this that was whole wheat. And where did you say you found it?
Sprouts.
At Sprouts. So I use that instead. And orzo is a lot faster than if you use the farro. Farro is great because it's a whole grain. You have to cook it about 30 minutes instead of 8 minutes. So I cooked that already and I just put it in the bowl. So they're just little pasta balls basically. And then all the tricky part of this recipe is just doing all the chopping. And if you don't feel like chopping, you could just buy them already chopped at the store. So you don't have to necessarily do the chopping. But I had some awesome choppers today who did it so much better than I ever would have. So basically you just add everything. So this is shallots. Who here uses shallots? They're like onion-like, and they usually come in little bulbs that are two stuck together. I hate cutting off shallots. They did, but Justin did a great job. So we've got those.
Raw or cooked.
They are raw. Everything in here except until my final one, which is the tomatoes, are raw.
And the farro's not.
Well, of course, and my and then it called for like a red and an orange pepper, but my peppers, I just went to Winco today and they were just kind of small. So I did 3. So I did one of each color, so you can tell how colorful it is. True Mediterranean form is all this colorfulness. And then it calls for frozen artichoke hearts. Have you ever seen them?
Yes.
I could, well,
Trader
they're,
Joe's.
okay, I thought it might be a Trader Joe's thing, because they did not have them at Winco, so I just used canned. I just got the quartered ones, and then Tal cut them for me. So we'll put those in, another common thing in our Mediterranean food. And then we did some olives, these are the Kalamata or the Greek olives.
Which in the reversal days, you would have never used it on.
Never used them before, never. But that's one thing they learned in the Mediterranean diet. I mean, I think a lot of this came from that, was if you're having fats in their whole real food form, they're okay for you in moderation. They still have a lot of calories, and olives do have a lot of salt. But it seems to be everything else in here is not salty, so it should be all right. And then it called for oregano, fresh oregano. So this is from my garden, fresh oregano. And you basically just mix all that together, and then you're thinking, oh, it's going to be so dry. And I was thinking the exact same thing. But they want you to take the cherry tomatoes and you blister them on the stovetop in a fry pan, which I did. So they get blistered and they get, some dark spots, and then they kind of explode a little bit so they're nice and soft. And then in the pan, you add the red wine vinegar, not red wine, red wine vinegar. And then you pour all that on. I'm thinking it might need more red wine vinegar. But these are gonna be soft and they're gonna break up as you turn them.
Also good flavor.
And they're, oh, that's true.
Because they break up, they've got the vinegar inside.
Oh, yeah, okay. So look, is that the prettiest thing you've ever seen?
Yes, that looks fantastic.
Thank you. Now, I'm thinking we're gonna want a little more red wine vinegar, but I'm not sure. And then it called for serving lemon wedges on the side. I don't know, I'm just gonna squeeze a few on there. And this month, it's not Mediterranean month, so I'm not sure why we chose Mediterranean, except it's really fun. But it is Earth Month. And so I just wanted to talk while I'm doing this about some ways that you might be saving or saving the earth. So bring it up because of this lemon. If during lemon season, when you have 8 million lemons or somebody says, oh, can I give you some lemons? And you go, oh, sure. And then you zest them and save that. And then you squeeze them and save those in ice cube trays and stuff. And you still have so many. I dehydrate mine too. So then I can just stick them in my hot water or tea. But you can just stick your whole lemon right into the freezer. Whole, unpeeled, everything. Now, when it comes out, that's what these are. It's still beautiful. It still has lemon juice in it. It's not one that you would want to serve lemon wedges on the side of a dish though. It's kind of soft, but they come out just perfectly. So it's a great way. I have a whole big bag of lemons in my freezer.
I had that.
Did you take the one out of our freezer?
I didn't, I had my own. I thought you had a bunch too.
Yeah, there are some in there.
You can't zest them though, I expect.
Not afterwards, that would be really hard to zest.
Maybe
You
when
zest
it-
them before.
Maybe when it's still frozen.
Yeah, oh, that's true. It was a hard little ball.
Yeah.
It was hard. Okay, so there's that salad.
Pretty.
Okay, so lovely. Along the lines too, just as we're talking about Earth Month, my New Year's resolution, it is every year, is to get more zero waste. I am very far from zero waste. But this year, I started working on these little Ziplocs. Got them on Amazon, silicone, got all different sizes, and they're amazing. No, they're on Amazon, they're not that expensive. Well, I put it on my Christmas list, so maybe I didn't know, but I chose ones that weren't that expensive. And the thing is, they work great. I've had these before where they don't zip very well, and these zip great. You can put stuff in them, stick it in the freezer, stick it in your microwave. They work really great, all the different sizes. So I've been loving this and saving Ziplocs.
How many
then my-
of those do you have?
What?
How many do you have?
I probably have eight of varying sizes. Because you do need to have a few, because once you put your strawberries that you had left over in there, now it's in the freezer forever until you use all those strawberries. So you do need to have multiple ones. But I'll have to look where I got them on Amazon because I didn't think they were super expensive.
I just recycled my cottage cheese containers or
See, that works too. And I recycle my Ziplocs. I'm
Yeah.
the kind that wash out my Ziploc,
Yeah.
turn it upside down.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm that person. But my other one was paper towels. And so we've been trying for a year. And we cut back. But then I got these for Christmas, also on my Christmas list. And I have about 20 of them. And they're all in a little pile that you can wrap around whatever you stick your paper towels on now, and you can just pull them off as you need it. So that way to make it really work for me was that I just got rid of the paper towels. They're not in the kitchen anymore. And they work great. So that's a fun way to save.
What do you call them?
They're like cloth paper towels. Also on Amazon. And they have a bunch of different patterns.
You wash them?
Yeah.
Is
Uh-huh.
it cotton? Is it microfiber? What is it made out of?
I think it's sort of microfibery. But yeah, I wash it
The
so.
ocean in a different way.
So you like spill something on the floor, you wipe it up, I throw it in the wash. So I always have, and somebody said, oh, well, now you're just wasting water because you're washing so much more. But I'm really not washing that much more, but I bet I do maybe a quarter to half a load more a week than I normally do. But
That's not very much.
it's not very much. And you got to do the wash anyway.
Right.
So I've been loving that.
I use washcloths.
See, those are great. Yes.
Yeah.
And I've used washcloths in the kitchen and it's always kind of bugged me. I don't know. I've never liked them. I never felt like they were very clean. So for me, these work for me, but I love what you're saying.
And you can
use, I mean, I go back into the days when people didn't have anything, so you can use old t-shirts or worn out towels.
That's absolutely right. You can use anything old cloth that you can. You're right. But I mean, they're not as pretty as this.
No, definitely not.
Okay, and then my other dish, this is my super simple dish of the day. And it's my pasta. I say fagioli. Do you say fagioli?
Visual,
Fagioli. Fagioli.
because there's an I here.
There is, but I felt like if you were really Italian, you didn't say the I. I don't know. I'm not sure. You do? Okay. All right, I'm clearly not really Italian. So this one is super, super simple. So we start off with our celery, onion, and garlic, just like we do like any recipe you probably ever made.
Everything.
And you saute them up a little bit with a little basil. I use the dried basil leaves. And then you add some broth. Now I use the low sodium broth, the Pacific. So you can make your own low sodium broth if you happen to have any. You can use the little cubes of low sodium broth, but low sodium is really the way to go because there's so much salt in these broths. So you got a vegetable flavor. This one's 120 milligrams in a cup. So that's 480 for the whole box, but spread over my recipe. But it's like 800 in a regular box.
Is that your favorite?
No, whatever's on sale is my favorite. John likes Imagine. This was on sale at Winco today for $2.78 a box, which was a pretty good price because sometimes they're really expensive.
Some of them taste like water.
I know they do. And you can also make your own by using your scraps, like all the scraps of all the stuff we cut today. We could throw that in with some water and cook it, and that could be our broth too. And that's a great way to recycle. So basically, they have you cook the broth for about 15 minutes, and then you add your key ingredients, which, oh no, you add the tomato and the broth. And then you add your macaroni. I use the elbow macaroni, the little mini ones, but you could use any macaroni you have. You could use any tomatoes that you like, and then some canned beans. So I used the canned, I think I threw my cans away, but they were low sodium kidney beans. Throw it in, cook it another 15 minutes. It did not call for greens, but I happen to have a lot of collard greens in my garden. So it has collard greens. If anybody wants collard greens, please take them because I have more than I can eat. I might have to freeze them.
Those are beautiful.
Aren't they nice?
Sure.
I know, I'm really kind of impressed with myself,
Yeah.
but I did nothing to them. They just did it.
How
God
do you,
did it.
how do you cook them?
I cook them, and nowadays I'm having them every single night. You rip the leaf off of the stem. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we did a wrap. So then you cut the thick part of the stem and then you use this as a wrap. But normally I just cook them. I pull that off, chop it up, cook it in my pan. That's all I do. Just like I would kale or who was it? Nick would tell me he likes turnip greens. Those are his favorite. So whatever greens you have. But I think any opportunity to throw a green or a bean in your recipe is going to be good, right? And that's why the Mediterranean diet's good for us.
Do you use a stem at all?
What I'll do with the stem is I'll save them. Like also if I'm doing chard or kale, I'll chop them up into little pieces and then I will saute those separately. It's just a cooking speed thing. So you do them separately.
I put them in my Vitamix and just make the whole
The
drink
stems?
with all the stems.
Oh, good for you. All right, that is nice. I like it. So we can use those stems. So I have a nice soup. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see some when you come up. And then we have, Linda put a recipe on one of these. Maybe, oh, I didn't get yours, but a vegan or plant-based Parmesan. And so it's made from walnuts and miso. And I found this in the fridge here, so I didn't make it.
Is Parmesan really all that bad for you?
Well, you use so little, no, but it's cheese. So if you're going fully plant-based, you might not want to eat Parmesan.
Okay.
You just,
Oh, okay, nutritional yeast too.
You found that in our freezer?
I found it in your fridge door.
It's just a little too much for me.
And then John tasted it for me to tell me what it was.
There's a taster too.
Walnut Parmesan, huh?
Walnut Parmesan. So both these recipes are super easy and they will lend themselves to whatever you want to do with them. So you can use any grain you want here. If you want a really fast grain, you could use couscous, you could use quinoa to make it gluten-free, you could use buckwheat groats to make it gluten-free. You can use any kind of broth that you like, you can use any kind of pasta that you like in the soup. You can put any vegetables you want or any leftovers you've got in the fridge, throw them in there. So I think that's the thing to think about. As I mentioned last time, we were trying to make things a little simpler sometimes, and just think of the recipe as a template and you use whatever you've got in your fridge for it. That's all. They're all very friendly.
This is a pretty simple recipe for you, John.
It is. It's one thing
Oh,
about when you start cooking in a cuisine, you start hoarding your spices all together. So this is Middle Eastern. Okay, so I'm gonna always have these spices together, always. And when I begin cooking, I line them up and spoon them out. And it doesn't need a whole lot of thinking if you think that way. It's if you're starting from scratch and, oh, cumin. Where did I put the cumin? Oh, coriander. Where did I? That's hard work. But if you start with, yeah, I'll get the curry set, or I'll get the shawarma set.
And so I think it's time to eat.
Put mine in alphabetical order.
Do you? That is so
I
awesome.
don't have a drawer like that.
I put mine in the order, like you said, I left the ones I use the most in front. And then I have my like Asian little section and I have my Mexican little section.
Are they alphabetical in those sections?
No, because, no, they're not, but that would be really nice. But I just know, once you do it, you just know.
How old can they be?
Oh, if you have any of the red and white tin boxes.
Yeah.
We're supposed to get rid of those, I think, but they're still fine. They just lose their potency. They just don't
Right.
taste the same. But you know, remember all the red and white boxes?
Yeah. Accent. One of them.
Yeah, oh yeah. But I think spices last forever, right? They just aren't as
Pretty much,
strong.
yeah. I save all my yeast jars, so they're all in amber glass.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they won't, because when they're exposed to a lot of light or heat, they lose potency even faster.
Yeah.
And they always say, don't put it by heat, but you want to have it right by your oven because that's where you're going to use them.
Do you buy them in bulk then?
I do. There's some that is high turnover.
Where do you buy them in bulk?
The co-op
I
probably,
get the
right?
Co-op.
I go to Winco.
Winkle has them too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nugget
I
does
did-
too, actually, in Davis.
Oh,
I don't know if the other nuggets do.
There's some things that.
Both nuggets or just the one?
I just know the one in Davis does. I
Uh-huh.
never looked in the other nuggets, but
So Sprouts does have a big bulk section. Do they have seasonings there too?
Notice.
Yeah, I don't know either.
So I've read that, well, if you're curious, that you want them organic or specifically non-irradiated.
Right.
They use to kill bugs, and it also kills the nourishing elements of the plant.
Yeah,
And also I believe you want them fresher, and sometimes they have expiration dates on them.
well, that's true. Sometimes they do.
So, but if you don't care.
Well,
It's just they're so expensive, you don't want to
Yeah.
throw them away.
That's all right.
exactly. Just use more.
Yeah, just dump a bunch on there.
They should not sell smaller bottles.
Mhm.
Well, that's the bulk. You can
You get the amount you want.
get the
yeah.
little bit that you need for this recipe, and if it turns out to be a real bust, then you've lost a tablespoon of stuff. But if it's something you're gonna use a lot, like I use a lot of cumin, and so I refill that a lot. And coriander, right now, the co-op is out of bulk coriander, so I was forced to get the organic Safeway
Oh,
in a bottle.
so anybody have any Mediterranean ideas, things they love?
Wine.
Wine, I know, seriously, yes. Wine would be really good in this dish too.
So there's one that we didn't make that is more of a wintry dish is pasticcio, which is a pasta on the bottom, usually a tubular pasta,
Pasticcio,
pasticcio.
yeah, that's really good.
What,
And-
and then what?
But it
then
has
there's-
a bechamel sauce on it.
Well, it doesn't have to be that kind of bechamel. And you put a ragu on top, and I've got a lentil ragu recipe that you put on top of that. Then you have the bechamel and then you bake it. And it's this Greek
Uh-huh.
flavored deliciousness that again is, you say, you know, and there's more in the pan.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That sounds good. It sounds like moussaka, but without the eggplant.
Yeah, and then you could, starting with this, you could say, let's think about moussaka now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but we're talking here and there's
we
food
eat?
getting
Yeah,
cold,
let's eat.
so.
Let me
We
move
can
the
have a little
chair.
bit more of this.
Go ahead. I'll have a bite of your